What's going on, everybody? With everything going on in the world right now, we see a lot of negativity over things like social media and the news. In the world of real estate in particular, there's a lot going on with this notion of us versus them, landlords versus tenants. And I think a lot of people would really like to change this notion if possible. The relationship between the landlord and tenant should ideally be a little bit more like a partnership rather than a simple transactional arrangement, especially in a time like this. So that's why I'm making this video, because without me even noticing, many of our landlords and tenants have actually been working together. Just a little over a month ago, we contacted several of our landlords asking if anyone was interested in either waiving or deferring part of April's rent. I was blown away by the response we got. After reading the rent report for April, I found out that landlords who were financially able to had voluntarily waived or deferred roughly $42,000 in rents. That means landlords were offering 10 to 20% off of the rent on average in the form of a credit or deferral. Some landlords that we didn't even reach out to suggest this emailed us of their own volition to suggest a similar offer to their tenants. The most heartwarming part out of all of this was what came afterwards, which was a cascade reaction of kind gestures and offers to help. So today I want to share some great responses from both landlords and tenants and shed a little positivity in a time when I think we need it most. The first communication I want to share with you is from Steven out in Hamilton, Ontario, who was offered a 10% rent credit by the landlord directly. The landlord's name is Logan. The letter reads, "Hi Logan. Thank you for the discount on April's rent. It's a very touching offer and I want you to know I appreciate it. These are difficult times for everyone and I'm sure you are having stresses of your own to deal with. I want you to know that if you ever need any kind of work done around the property, please let me know and I will be happy to help you out. When the weather clears up, I'll fix up the garden in the back and plant some perennials for you. My treat, stay safe, be well, Steve." Just so you know, 10% off of this guy's rent was roughly $150. He didn't ask for it, and to be honest, I don't even think he necessarily needed it. But the point here is that this was a very kind gesture from the landlord. The tenant is appreciative of it. Steve could have just said a simple thank you and went about his day, but instead he tried to reciprocate and actually make a gesture of his own. If he actually does do the garden in the summer like he said he's going to, that'll be worth way more than the $150 value that the landlord is offering as a credit. So if you're able to do something like this, highly recommend trying it out. The next email is from Chelsea in Toronto, who's never actually met the landlord, so they wrote, "To whom this may concern. It warms my heart to see the company making such a gesture. I appreciate the offer to defer part of my rent, but as it currently stands, I remain financially unaffected by the pandemic. I think it is best to offer this to someone else who needs it. Should my circumstances change though, I will be sure to let you know and maybe take you up on this offer. I'm happy to know your group is thinking about us. All the best, Chelsea." This lady didn't even accept our offer. She suggested to offer this to somebody else who needs it. It's an amazing demonstration of humanity, kindness, and shows a really strong sense of community, so good job, Chelsea. The next communication on our list is from a tenant out in Brantford who's writing to the landlady in Newmarket. The tenant paid their rent for April 1st in full, but also submitted the following communication. "Hi Michelle. I know a lot of landlords are worried they might not receive the rent this month, but you have nothing to worry about with me. Gerald had some hours cut, but I'm fortunate to still have my job and work full-time from home. We've had to make some cuts, but I assure you, rent won't be one of them. I hope you're staying safe and well during these times, Shannon." Okay. Do you know how emotional someone can get by receiving a letter like this? Especially if you were a little bit stressed out about getting that rent in April? This landlady called us almost immediately after seeing this message, feeling so touched that she asked us to thank the tenant and offer them a 20% deferment for the following months to come until maybe September, because she says she only needs 80% of that rental income to cover her bills. How amazing is that? Now, just as another interruption here, because one other thing does occur to me. I'm sure a lot of viewers watching this, especially landlords, might think, oh, well, these are gestures of people who have very deep pockets. And there was that one Italian guy actually, I think he's from New York, he waived the month of April's rent for his entire building and he was in the news about it. And yes, fair enough, this guy probably has some pretty deep pockets and can afford to do something like this. But the stuff that I'm going over right now, well, these are the gestures that sometimes go a little bit unnoticed and nobody really talks about because it might not be significant enough to put in the newspaper, but offering somebody $100 to $200 off of their rent, either credited or deferred, especially maybe if you're on the emergency response benefit, makes a big difference to some people. And ultimately, the whole point of this is to illustrate that people are helping when they can, and it's a good thing to do. I am going to share one more email with you guys because this next email is a little bit of a long one, but I do think it's an amazing demonstration of a landlord and tenant showing compassion to one another and working together to solve a problem. This correspondence is from a family renting in Stony Creek who were not able to pay the rent for the month of April. It goes, "To Paul and management. I'm sorry to inform you that due to the recent circumstances of the pandemic, I have been laid off from my work and am unable to continue paying rent at your property. As such, I will be moving out by the end of the month. I do not feel it is right to stay without paying and am forced to reduce my expenses significantly. We will be moving to live with my parents until things normalize or I can find work again. I am sorry for the short notice and the position this must put you in. It has been a pleasure renting from you and I wish you all the best." Our client lives in the States. And when he saw this message through our management portal, he stepped in immediately to message the tenant directly, and he responded with the following. He says, "Hi Jeff, your message saddens me and I do not wish to see you go. We have had a long-standing relationship and I know you are one to do the right thing. So, I am willing to lay my cards out on the table if you are willing to do the same. I am also experiencing some hardship with work in the States right now and am relying heavily on my savings at this time. If you leave, I might actually be forced to sell the property, and truthfully, I would rather not. So consider this offer. If you can agree to pay the taxes, insurance, and utilities only, I will qualify to defer the mortgage, and I'm willing to work out the rest with you at a later date. We can apply for any deferrals available to us and try to soften the cost for you further. But if we can work this out together, you can remain at the home and I don't have to consider selling. Let me know if you think this works, Paul." Needless to say, this is a very rational offer, but also heavily reliant on trust in each party. This is a prime example of people putting down their shields and using the relationship as a foundation of trust to work through difficult situations. Obviously though, Jeff was very happy to accept this offer and he was able to keep his family staying at home. I really think this is actually quite amazing and I think it should be appreciated. It's actually really hard right now trying to help others, especially if you're having problems of your own or you're worried that problems might come, and there's a natural instinct to try and conserve and hang on to whatever resources you've got. So seeing people actively reaching out and showing compassion, especially in the landlord and tenant community, is what I think we should ideally aspire to. But anyway, I think that's all we've got for today, so I do hope you enjoyed this video. I didn't introduce myself at the start, so for those of you that don't know me, my name is Andrew, and if you're new to my channel and you want to learn more about landlording or other real estate related topics, like this video, hit that subscribe button and follow us on our socials. Until next time, stay safe, see you later.